For Panthers Fans Only is a sports podcast intended for mature audiences and contains profanity as well as extremely spirited conversation. What you see and hear are the sole opinions and depictions of each individual, not at all inclusive of the entire cast or any guests associated with our show. Thanks for tuning in, and always remember to stand on business.
We need to launch that next season, season 5.
Ricky Rose.
They're not going to tap in like you think they are.
It's only going to take one person
right here.
to see one of those episodes.
Excuse the marijuana.
The tight content I want to put on
Just trying to enjoy
Patreon.
myself. We got some gangsters in the house too. Come on.
I ain't even going to subscribe to that.
Oh!
About this.
Welcome.
Next semester she transferred to Florida State. Like home
Season finale, season 4, season finale.
Remember, meantime,
Enjoy the music.
Open up the door to the financial states.
Sit back, enjoy the ride.
Both down, now she
We got 82 minutes max. We work backwards today.
Still blow weed together. Cheated on her, but we still
We all off a couple shots of tequila.
hit the beach whenever. She from up north and still can't believe.
Bellies full. Steak and potatoes. Asparagus and spinach.
She can be my lady, she can be my lover.
What's happening?
Tell me on a late night, get right, he ain't acting right.
What's happening?
Superwoman needs a Superman.
Oh!
Here I am.
Well, here I am, and here I go. Why you looking for that other when you got the best? The previous was a test for you, now you in the big league. A black Steinbrenner, who would wanna play for me?
A couple of y'all said the music was too
Man
loud.
a chump, and you can tell him I said it. He was talking loud at first, but
Shout
you
out
can
to
see
the
it.
old heads
You can
that
see I ain't
tuned
sweat
in.
it. Hell, I call him up myself and tell him I ain't get it. No,
I know how the young niggas feel.
I'm trying to see
Turn it up.
Put you on my Christmas list. I hope you ain't offended by this, but I think
Well, maybe it's not age
shit.
specific.
And then straight up real talk, all bullshit aside, she replied.
Terrence like when I get in my DJ MC bag.
Took place at my
I like when I
place.
see
Now
him
my
looking at me out the
place.
goddamn corner of my eye. What's up?
Spend them on her.
Oh!
No, she can be my lady, she can be my lover. Tell me on a late night, get right, he ain't acting right.
Every superwoman needs a Superman. Here I am.
Mo better, mo cheddar, knock the man off your clothesline sweater. Ho getter, gorilla, fuck chauffeurs, I went and got mo killers. I rock with niggas like Fabulous, cause to tell the truth,
Welcome.
baby, like Fabulous. But you make it look glamorous. Your spaghetti strap heels, not
Welcome to Fort Panthers Fans Only. This is our season 4 season finale. Don't get too sad, don't get too depressed. We will definitely be back. But it's definitely been a long ride. I think this is like episode, I don't even know. Episode 42, 43, 45, I don't know. But it's been a while. It's been a long ride, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in consistently. What else? I don't really have anything right now. Probably when the episode drops, I might have a little more for y'all. But this is for Panthers Fans Only. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If y'all haven't already, make sure to tap in with us on social media at For Panthers Fans Only on Instagram. If you have access to TikTok still, at For Panthers Fans Only. On X, you can find us at FPFO_podcast. Lemonade at For Panthers Fans Only. You can obviously find us on all DSPs. You can search Google For Panthers Fans Only. Trust me when I tell you, we will pop up and you will see us. Again, welcome. Welcome in, man. This is our season finale. Been a long time coming. I think that this is probably, if I had to think back, I think that this is probably the most content that we've produced in a year's time. And yeah, it's just been, it's been a long season. It's been a long ride, but going to take a little break. Make sure to turn that bell notification on, however, because we will be dropping our favorite highlights of the 2024-2025 season. We will be dropping reaction videos on some of those sad highlights. I will be doing some film breakdowns on some prospects that, continue to pop up within the Carolina Panthers fan base, et cetera, et cetera. We will continue to drop content. It just will not be in this forum. This is the last episode of For Panthers Fans Only that we will do probably for about a month and a half. So, yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tap in with us on social media because you will be able to stay in touch with us, stay in tune with us. We have a lot of big things coming up via social media. And, yeah, we're very, very excited with some of the things that we're rolling out. But thank you so much for being here. This is our 2024-2025 season overview / our 2025 off-season preview. And, yeah, we're going to get right into it, gentlemen. How are y'all feeling? How's everybody doing? That was a long-winded intro, but I feel like it was necessary, so good afternoon.
Overall, I'm feeling all right. Like you said, went to dinner, a lot of shots, a lot of food. Oh my God, Notre Dame's fucking off. But a lot of shots, so a little heavy on the stomach. And we're also going into our 2-day water fast. So
yes,
this is going to be interesting. We did it last month for 2 days as well. That was kind of difficult, but hoping since we got one under our belt, we'll be fine going around this time. So I'm excited for that. And, yeah, didn't have to work today. Shout out MLK. Yeah. That's all I have
all
on
he
that.
get shouted out for because he gave you the day off work? Or did you want to give him like a special message, speech?
No, I think he made good speeches during his time around.
Fair enough. Sir?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling I'm feeling great, man. Shots, liquor going through my body. I'm feeling a little bit activated right now, so forgive me for anything that I say today, y'all. It's not really me. But no, I'm feeling good, man. Another nice weekend at the farm. All the livestock is doing well, so we're back in action, ready to wrap up this season, enjoy a nice little break, but been a hell of a ride. And special announcement for all of our viewers. Just so y'all know, you may have a new Panthers fan coming, waiting in the works. I've been in contract talks with Dave and the front office and everything. Seeing as my contract has also expired in Dallas, I'm exploring.
Wow.
I'm
I
exploring.
thought it was coming up. It already expired?
It expired, So I'm
Wow.
I'm up for
He's so capped out.
Yeah,
bro.
he is.
I'm up for I'm up for a new contract and everything, and I'm just looking at where I want to take my talents next. And Carolina is on my short list of teams to migrate to. So, just wanted to let y'all know y'all got the beat on that.
Who else is on your list?
That's a great question.
Kansas City.
Wow. Yeah, so got it. Cool.
Nah, for real though. If Jerry goes ahead and fucks off and hires a Kellen Moore or a Brian Schottenheimer, I'm not even gonna repeat what I said I would do. But it just happy MLK Day. Happy MLK Day to all our viewers, and for those of y'all that don't support MLK and whatnot, then happy Inauguration Day.
Can they not support both?
I'm just making
Yeah,
a
like
statement.
what?
You can, but like for
They're
those
not
that
even going to hear this until tomorrow, until Tuesday. So it's just like,
we recorded today on Inauguration and MLK Day, on MLK and Inauguration Day, however you want to, whatever order you feel like putting that in is up to you, your prerogative. So, happy whichever day you celebrate.
we're happy both.
Yeah. Say why can't
Or
they
both, yeah, or both. It can't be both. We had a dream one day that we could celebrate both, so.
I don't know. I won't even comment. I won't even go as far as I want to go.
Like I said,
Because I just want to repeat the message that I put in God's, but I just feel like that'll get us canceled. So I'm just gonna move on. We're just gonna jump right into it. Like I said, we're on limited time. Well, not necessarily limited, I don't think, but this won't be a extremely long episode. We have a couple of topics that we're going to dive into. The first of which is just kind of giving like a 2-minute overview and kind of just a recap. Not necessarily a recap, but it's an overview and kind of just our opinions heading into the off season for 2025 and just kind of how everything ended up last year. So I'll kick us off. For me personally, I was on What's Up, Doug, actually on Friday. If you guys didn't get a chance to catch that, go tune into that right now. I believe the YouTube channel is literally What's Up, Doug. So search that up. If not, you can just go on Google or X and just search What's Up, Doug, and you'll have the directions to get to it. Because I gave a little more context than I will right now. However, for me, 5-12, obviously, that's not the number that I had us at. I think a lot of people, including my co-host, as well as my producer, as well as Dunk, and a lot of you guys that watch tried to tell me that my expectations coming into the season were a little too high. That typically is the case for me. Honestly, specifically over the last 2 or 3 years, I would say. But overall, I did not hate the way the season went, ending in 5-12. Obviously, that record is not one that you want to get too comfortable with. I believe that this team has potential to do a lot more. Even if you go back and look at the games that we competed in this year, we could have easily gone 7-10, 6-11, and even teeter 8-9. However, I'll just kind of say 7-10, just for the sake of the conversation. So I believe there were a lot of missed opportunities this year. However, what I love the most is probably what you guys love the most, and I'm sure this sentiment will be echoed on this cast as well, is the fact that I believe that we have found our franchise quarterback. I believe that we have found our head coach, and I think those two things alone was worth what we had to endure this season, in my opinion. Just because the question was, obviously, is Bryce Young the franchise quarterback? Does Bryce Young have enough? Does he have what it takes to be a franchise leader? Is he our guy? I believe that question was answered. And then with Dave Canales, if you look to him and just the head coaching carousel that this organization has been on over the past 4, 5, 6 years, whatever the case may be, it is good to go into an offseason with some sort of stability. I feel like there has been very rare instances over the past decade that the Carolina Panthers have had stability. Even after Matt Rule signed his contract for 7 years or whatever the case was, after his first season, there were question marks about if he would be returning. And in the second season, it was a very, very similar conversation. Then you get rid of your GM last year and bring in Dan Morgan, et cetera. It's good to have stability. We're going to go through the position groups in a second just to give, we'll give a little more insight. But that's kind of how I'm feeling personally just about the season. Those were the positive takeaways that I have, really, is the fact that we do have the answer at those two main positions in head coach and quarterback. And that gives you a solid foundation to build off of.
I mean, just going off of that, I guess I initially had us going, I think, 7-10. So we finished 2 games under that. But at a certain point of the season, it just got to a point where you want to see progress. And one of those things was progress at the quarterback position. And I think we've seen a lot of that, especially going into the back end of the season. I mean, at the beginning of the season, none of us predicted that Bryce Young would be benched. But also, none of us predicted that, I guess, he would kind of have that kind of year, probably other than Tavian, I guess, because he was champion for MVP conversations. But, I mean, if you just took into, like, his last couple of games, then yes, okay. But at the same time, I don't think none of us predicted him to have the kind of season he did as far as getting benched, then coming back out, looking the way he did, and then we ultimately went in, 5 games total. But there was a lot of progress in a lot of different positions. And like you mentioned, I think quarterback was one of the ones we was looking at the most. And then also, it is nice to see that you have a head coach that is going to stick around for more than 1 year, 2 years, maybe 3 years in Dave Canales. I think he works well with Bryce. And like you were saying in the offseason, I think it's evident that Bryce will succeed in the system that Davis Canales has set for him. So that's something to look forward to. There are a couple other things that were disappointing, like the defense, very underwhelming, which we didn't really think that they would be like a great defense by any stretch of the imagination, but also didn't think they would be the worst in NFL history, which is pretty fucking embarrassing. But, I mean, other than that, there's a lot of things to look forward for going into next season. So I'm excited to see what we can do, especially the draft. we have the number 8 pick as of right now.
Yep.
So it's
With
going to be
11 total picks, I believe.
Yes,
throughout the draft.
It's going to be exciting to see the way that board shapes up and to see exactly what this front office goes towards, especially knowing that, you need players on defense. Like, this defense is terrible. This defense is bad. But I'm especially happy for, like, the free agents, like what we're going to do in that department. And I know we're going to hit on that a little later in the episode. But, yeah, I think we have a chance to make a splash. And I do think that this team will be a very hard team to beat next year. Because I don't think we can do anything but get better. Now, you might be able to say, you could possibly get worse, but I just don't see that being the way that Bryce played at the end of the season. So I'm excited.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said in the offseason, the goal for me, or what I wanted to see from this team this year, was progress. And I think at all the positions that you invested in, offensive line, wide receivers, quarterback, head coach, you saw progress. Where you didn't see any progress was the parts of the team that you completely neglected, which I'll touch on a little bit later when we get into one of our other topics about free agent targets that I'm looking at this offseason. But everywhere you invested, you saw progress. And I had this team going 7-10 this season, which easily could have been the case. A fumble here, a botched coverage there, whatnot, a drop pass. Yeah, a fumble here, a drop pass there.
Why did you look at me, dog? Go ahead. My bad.
Nah,
man.
you're
my
good.
bad.
This team is easily 7-10, and we definitely saw progress in a lot of aspects of this team, especially in particular with Bryce Young, as well as Dave Canales. I really like what I saw from him. That was a guy that we had a lot of question marks going into the season, having never been a head coach. We know he had a pretty decent track record working with Geno Smith and then Baker Mayfield last year, but we really just didn't know what we were getting. It was kind of a big mystery. Didn't know what type of person he was, how he would be able to command a team, how he would be able to lead men. And I think we've got the answer to that question. We've got the answer to our quarterback. We've solved the offensive line issues. Still have my questions and doubts about the wide receiver core, but that's something that I can live with if you're going to tell me that Bryce is going to play the way he played this past year, because I know he'll make some receivers that are not named David Moore better, as we saw with Jalen Coker, who's 6'3". Yeah, I like the progress that we saw from the
Would
team
you like
this year.
to tell people why you felt the need to throw that in?
Yo, how the fuck did David Moore get a straight?
First, how did he get a straight, and then why did you have to throw the size in?
David Moore actually had a semi-productive season this year, and I just don't think he's all that good. While he did have a productive season, he's been in the NFL for a long time. There's a reason that he's been in the NFL for a long time, and a lot of people thought this was his first or second year in the league. It's not really a surprise. David Moore is a decent.
They know ball.
Yeah.
That's a name that you've heard a lot.
Fair enough, but I just don't. Again, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into David Moore.
Okay.
Especially with some of the ability to upgrade at that particular position, and why I said that about Jalen Coker is because we came on here about 4 weeks ago, and I made the statement that Jalen Coker would look like he was about 6'4", 6'5", and then JJ corrected me and said that he was 5'10", just for the report
Or
to come.
5'9".
Or 5'9",
No.
yeah.
I didn't say 5'9". I didn't say 5'9".
He said he was 5'10". He said he was 5'10"
I said he
at
was
best.
like 5'11", 6 foot. But go ahead.
No, you said 5'10".
Okay.
And just for the report to come out and confirm that he is in fact 6'3", so I wasn't completely off base in saying that he looked big as hell on the field.
Pause. Shout out to PNP. Shout out to PNP for confirming that.
So
he is in fact 6'3". Every bit of it per quote. Pause again. Are you done?
no, yeah, that was it.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, they hit my season goals, which was progress, and we saw progress from 2-15. Is that what it is? 2-15. Yeah, 2-15 to 5-12. 13.
5-12.
Yeah, we saw progress. So
were you guys disappointed by the amount of progress? Because I know that we can say we saw a lot of progress, but was there any part of you that was like a little disappointed at the progress or lack thereof that we saw? Because I think that a lot of the excitement is coming from Bryce, obviously, the development of Bryce, which, yes, if you isolate Bryce, absolutely phenomenal. But overall, from a team perspective, were you disappointed, satisfied, or kind of in the middle, in between?
I think it's more so as specific players. But I don't know from like a team standpoint, just because, like I said, I don't think we ever really expected the defense to be good or anything like that. I mean, I guess it was kind of underwhelming that they looked as bad as they did. So I don't know if I was really expecting progress from them. But, I mean, if you want to name out specific players as far as, like, Xavier Leggett, Jonathan Brooks, Trevin Wallace, like, guys like that, it's kind of like, you wish you would have seen some progress from them guys, just because I think that those are guys that will shape the future of the Carolina Panthers. Like, maybe not now after this season. It's kind of hard for you to look at a Trevin Wallace and be like, okay, he's going to be a future starter or a guy that could serve in like a Frankie Louisville role, because obviously that's kind of what we will be hoping for. I'm not saying that he has they necessarily have the same play style, but I mean, you went and drafted linebackers to replace a Frankie Louisville and guys of that sort. And the same thing with Xavier Leggett. Like, he left a lot of things to be desired, so we don't really know exactly like what we're getting from him, so to speak. And then also Jonathan Brooks, like, obviously he tore his ACL again. So it's guys like that was kind of like, kind of underwhelming when it comes to progress. But I think overall, like, the thing that you needed to establish the most was the quarterback. And I think, like Tavian said, like, the positions you put the most time and spent the most money into, like, it's happy to see that those positions are the ones that panned out and are the ones that made the progress and made the Carolina Panthers essentially who they were going into the season, which was the offensive line and Bryce Young. So,
yeah, the only part about the Panthers season that I was woefully underwhelmed by was the lack of production and just the sheer lack of talent personally that I saw from the rookie class. I think this was a very disappointing rookie class. I know they are rookies, and we all want to give them time. We shot Bryce Bale last season saying the same thing. So we will, and I will give them that same courtesy. I'll give them another year to try to refrain from judgment, but I was not impressed by anything that I saw from this rookie class outside of one undrafted rookie and one drafted in the 5th round, I believe. JT was drafted fourth round. Other than that, though, I saw nothing from this rookie class that I liked. No memorable people. Hopefully Xavier Leggett can figure it out. Hopefully Trevin Wallace can figure it out. Jonathan Brooks, conversation for another day, because he won't even be an impact on this team next season, in my opinion. So
which is really scary and nasty.
Yeah, we've beat that. That's kind of like a dead horse. We beat that one into the ground. We all are now in agreement that should not have been the pick in that position given the circumstance of the team. But other than that, like, the defense didn't really underwhelm me, only because I never expected much from the defense anyway. As soon as the 53-man came out, we picked that shit apart, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. And then you take into account that they lost their best player in Brown. You lost to Shaq Thompson, Finally, JC stays healthy, but there was still a question. Mike Jackson did step up and play very serviceable this year as a cornerback too. We had a lot of questions at safety still. There was still a lot of question marks on that side of the ball for me personally, so I wasn't really underwhelmed by what I saw from the defense, given the circumstances of the team this year, being the injuries, and being that you didn't really invest much. Your best pass rusher going into the year was Jadeveon Clowney.
Respectfully,
yeah, and
course.
I mean, just speaking on a rookie class, it's like,
would you like to give a grade after you say what you're going to say?
yeah, sure.
A letter grade?
Yeah, and I feel like when you go into the draft and you draft these guys, they shouldn't perform in a season that makes you makes you have to go and find other people at that position. So that's the kind of thing that it's like, it's frustrating. And it's like certain things you can't help, because Jonathan Brooks, like, it's just like, I mean, damn, like, he fucked off his ACL again. But you could help it because you shouldn't have drafted him there. So, I mean, we can always go back and point to that. And then Xavier Leggett, we have guys like JJ and probably a lot of other guys who blame it on injury. But, I mean, yes, and then it's just like, I don't really know, just because the guy had 1 year of, like, good film coming out of college. So it's like,
yeah, I actually don't see a lot of people defending XL.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even better. So, and then
So
guys
maybe
like,
I'm in the minority in that.
yeah,
I mean, I really just think that it's because of the risk. I really do. Like, and to just give some pushback on that, I think that's part of our problem. Like, you obviously you don't want to have a situation where you draft a guy in the first round, and then you're potentially having a conversation about drafting another guy in his same position group in the first round yet again. However, I feel like part of our problem is the lack of depth. So I feel like you can never really have too much talent on a roster, just to give some pushback on that. But I understand what you're saying. If we're isolating the XL situation, I don't believe XL is a wide receiver one at this very time. At this very, I don't think he's an X. I don't know if he's going to be able to do what this coaching staff and this front office is going to want him to do, unless again you go make a deal with somebody or you go sign a free agent. Like I said, we'll have that conversation in a couple of minutes about the free agents and the whatever wide receivers that have been mentioned and tied to the Carolina Panthers at this time. But I don't know. But I just want to provide that pushback just a little bit because we do have a depth problem. That's why when Shaq Thompson and Derrick Brown get hurt, you have A'Shawn Robinson step up, but behind A'Shawn Robinson, you have to fuck around with Deshaun Williams with all due respect, because he did have some phenomenal games, but we have a depth issue. There's not enough talent. There's not enough talent on the roster just throughout 1 through 53.
Right, and just to give pushback on that, though, what makes that particularly alarming with XL is the fact that you did see a undrafted rookie free agent in Jalen Coker come in and, look like he was the first-round talent.
That's very true.
So that's what I feel like is the most alarming about the XL situation, even if you want to say shoot him that bail of his wrist was fucked off. Okay, cool, but still there was a guy that came in here and outperformed you at your position in your same class and was a undrafted player.
Yeah, and speaking of the depth problem, there's not really a lot of teams who I feel like you can say everybody has a depth problem because there's really not a lot of teams that can go and just have really good players sitting behind other players, because you've seen it with the Lions. Eventually that comes back to bite them in the ass when it's playoff time and when they need to win games, when you have fucking 18 to 20 people on IR. That shit is eventually going to catch up with you. Even with the Dallas Cowboys, they had a ton of injuries as well. And there's not really a lot of guys sitting behind them that can actually replace that talent, because they're the next man up for a reason. At a certain point,
when not enough men to keep coming up.
Yeah, and
Fair
it's
enough.
It boils down to you're the next man up for a fucking reason. So it's not a lot of that going around. So I feel like you can say a lot of teams have a depth problem. So I can't even really point to that because, they wouldn't be sitting back behind them if they were actually really good football players, with all due respect. And that's just comparing them to other people in the league.
Sure. Good conversation. Give me a letter grade for the draft class. And then we'll go by position group. So give me a letter grade for the draft class. Because I have mine already.
I'm going to go with D.
Okay. Do you care to give any explanation?
Well, one, just because, Xavier Legette was underwhelming. He has an injury problem. I guess we can point to that. He has a drop problem, in my opinion. Jonathan Brooks, another guy you took in the second round, fucked off his ACL. JT Sanders that you took, he ended up getting injured, but, there is some positive there. I think he was playing really well before he got injured, but he ended up getting injured. Jaden Crumedy, did we draft him this?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen him play a fucking snap. If he has, he hasn't done shit. Trevin Wallace, he's to the point to where you're the only linebacker we have and you're still on the bench. So that's a problem in itself. This rookie class was just, it's a D. And it's really close to a fucking F. Yeah. Only thing that's saving them is fucking Jalen Coker. That's the only thing that's saving them.
So a D minus?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to give them a D minus just because I don't, I don't want to give a rookie class an F because they are rookies. But, my God, I don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel for this rookie class. They haven't really given me any reason to feel any optimism. At least when Bryce was playing dog shit, I saw moments where I was like, yeah, okay, he's got something there. We just have to figure out how to develop that. With this rookie class, I haven't seen moments. With Xavier, okay, let me get through. I saw moments with Jonathan Brooks for a couple of snaps, and he fucks his shit off. So, I'm not.
Okay, let's take Jonathan Brooks away.
I'm just saying, I'm not under the impression that he'll ever come back and be able to do anything. Trevin Wallace, I saw I saw moments in training camp, and that was really the last moments that I ever saw from him, which is quite alarming, considering the roster that, was the first 53 man for this team. I saw moments from Xavier Legette where he got open, and then I saw moments where he couldn't complete the play. So that, and as a wide receiver, that just, gives me cause for pause, to use one of your phrases, of like, wow, you're a fucking wideout, and like, I could care less if you're wide open if you can't catch that bitch. JT, I liked what I saw from JT. That's where the D- comes from. Jalen Coker, I like what I saw from Jalen Coker, contributes to that D-. But then you have Jaden Crumity. And then you have,
Michael Barrett, who got shipped before the season even really started.
Yeah, but he was a 7th round.
Shaw Smith, Wade.
He developed very well.
To my surprise, because of how low I was on the guy, I mean, you didn't have to do much to, get better marks than what I gave you on draft night. But Shaw Smith had moments.
Give him his credit.
He had moments. He was really one of those players that had moments that I looked at him and I was like, maybe there is something there in that miniature frame with the short arms. It's very possible that you have something as a nickel cornerback. Maybe you have a little bit of future inside. So, I mean, we'll see. TBD. Again, that's why I don't like giving rookie classes an F. But, I mean, Jesus, if there was ever a class that I would give an F, it would have been this one.
C-. C-. I don't know why that's funny. C-. And it's literally for the reason that he just said. Because he really had more positive things to say about development than negative. I don't understand why we're so hyper-focused on XL. Like, I really don't.
Because he was drafted in the first round, and you traded up to get him.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, not even with all due respect, at the end of the day, XL is going to be fine. What is the yardage that we had him at?
Like you said,
750?
that would be in your best interest for him to be fine. The same shit you said with Bryce. That would be in your fucking best interest.
I mean, in my best interest, in the team's best interest, I think. But even then, if Thielen retires, then that would be in our best interest. I'll say that.
Yes.
If Thielen comes back, it's kind of not too worrisome, just simply based on the fact that you have Jalen Coker. So, I mean.
And in hopes that you go get another receiver in free agency or in the draft.
In the draft, sure.
Is a good receiver.
Yeah, sure. But I'm not out on XL yet. I think a lot of y'all are. I won't say y'all too specifically, just because I know that, Tavian just spoke about it's very early and we want to give guys a chance to develop. But just based on what I've seen in the fan base on Panthers Twitter and some of the YouTube comments, Instagram comments as well, a lot of y'all were already out on XL. I'm just not the guy that is out on him yet. Now, if we see another season like last year and we still have a drop problem and we still, out multiple weeks, multiple times throughout the year, then there's a conversation to be had.
Yeah, I'm not out on him, but I don't think he's done anything this year to where it's like, okay, he really, 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 really has to take a leap next year.
What is a leap? Give me a number. Give me a number. Don't give me touchdowns. Don't give me anything but yards.
What was his yards this season? Probably 400?
I'm not going to guess. Give me 1 second.
And can that number
49 catches, 497 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Okay. The reason it's going to be hard to give a number is because it's going to depend if Adam Thielen retires and also if you go get one of those top free agents that's going to be mentioned next. But, I mean, regardless, I think you should at least get 700 yards.
I don't even want that. I want 850. I want 850 from him. You're a first-round fucking pick. You're 6'4". You run a goddamn 4.4, 4.3, whatever the fuck he ran. You're always open. Like, you do get open. Catch the fucking ball. 850. Is 850 too much to ask from a former first-round pick?
I don't think it's too much to ask for. The only reason,
that's just a significant jump.
Like I was saying earlier, it's going to be tough. Like, if you go and get one of those top receivers in the free agency and Adam Thielen comes back and Jalen Coker takes on a bigger role just because of how he played this past season.
I personally can't see anything less than 850 or I'm going to think he's a bust. Because even if Jalen Coker did outperform you this year, nigga, you're supposed to be better than Jalen Coker. I need you to come.
He didn't outperform him.
Jalen Coker outperformed XL this year.
Statistically, he didn't.
I mean, I want to see their snap counts in comparison.
But there was also like
Okay.
a lot of
Yeah.
stats just saying that Jalen Coker was one of the top like rookie receivers in the NFL.
He was, and he was directly behind XL.
And he outperformed XL in his opportunities.
Yeah, I think
In
so
his
as well.
limited opportunities, he
mean,
outperformed XL. And he missed
he did, bro,
he missed
but-
like 4 games in the middle of the season.
He did. He missed a lot of time. I'll give him that. And he did outperform what we thought he was going to be able to do. So I'll give y'all that. But there were also games where Jalen Coker had like 1 or 2 catches, and he was on the field a significant amount. And he would be, early in the first half, we see activity from him, and then the second half, he's completely MIA. So like I don't want to draw this narrative this early.
But
that
that's
like
all the more
Jalen Coker
reason.
is just a god.
That's
Like,
all
I'm
the
not
more
going
reason, though,
far.
that XL should be able to outperform him next season.
Yeah, but I don't.
You're just making it a better case for that.
I don't think it's anybody drawing a narrative, but it's like when you draft a receiver, trade up to draft a receiver in the first round, and you have someone that's undrafted that's outperforming him. That's alarming.
Extremely.
It is.
Okay.
So
not mad.
if we're giving a grade, we can start with the wide receivers.
Sure. Let's do position groups. C- for the draft class for me. Wide receiver. I damn near would say C- for the wide receivers too. Because, Thielen did what he did, but he also went on IR for like 5 games. I think it's difficult as a wide receiver to adjust quarterback to quarterback every single week, you not knowing who your quarterback is going to be. So I think that, switching between Bryce and Andy in the middle of the season the way we did, or starting with Bryce, then switching to Andy, and then going back to Bryce, I think that plays a part in some of the production that we saw. And somebody's name that we haven't mentioned, which, for more than one reason, obviously, but a lot of people are forgetting that Deontay Johnson was even a Carolina Panther.
No, I'm not forgetting because I was damn near gonna go a D just based off of that, just based off of coming in that we went and got Deontay Johnson. He's not even on the NFL team anymore.
But Baltimore claimed him off of waivers. He's on the Ravens.
Okay, he's on the Ravens.
Technically, he's not on the NFL team anymore because he's a free agent.
Yeah, so he's
So
not
they
on the
lost.
NFL team anymore, and the Baltimore Ravens just lost, so
Right.
technically not on the team.
Sure.
You had Jonathan Mingo, who ended up getting traded. You had Terrace Marshall, who didn't even make it through training camp.
Yeah, but let's not go back to training camp. Let's just go with what we had. The 53.
Okay, you have David Moore, who it would be hard for him to make a team on another NFL team. Let's be honest, it would be extremely difficult. Yes, it would, bro.
Tennessee, he could go to Tennessee and get a job. He could go to Jacksonville and get a job.
I just don't even know.
He
if
could
that's
go
it.
somewhere. He could go.
I just don't even know if that's the case. So, and just based off of that, like it would just damn near be a D for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the receiving core a C-. I wasn't, super disappointed. I wasn't super impressed either. I was just it was a very average season from the receiving core. A lot of that can be, part of that reason can be attributed to Bryce and his early season struggles, and then Andy Dalton taking over. But even with that being said, I just didn't. I like Jalen Coker, Adam Thielen, Panthers legend. He's gonna do what he does. XL very underwhelmed.
Please stop doing that. Please stop.
XL very underwhelmed by what I saw from him. David Moore, very serviceable year. Appreciate it. It's just really hard to draw any hell yeah from this wide receiver core. Like it was, C-.
Okay. Cool. Backs. I'm just gonna say A. I'm gonna say A just because of Chuba. Because to me the room stops at Chuba. Like Miles got fucked off, and Miles wasn't doing shit before he got fucked off. Mike Boone came in. He was actually very efficient when he got his opportunities, and he's a name actually that I'm gonna mention here in a second when we talk about unrestricted free agents that we need to bring back. And then who else? Blackshear. As the leader of the Raheem Blackshear hype train. Thank you so much for your services. We appreciate everything you've done for the team, the organization, and the city. We wish you the best of luck. So I'm just gonna say A because of Chuba, and that's it.
And that's why I'm gonna go probably B or B plus, just because the fact that it stops at Chuba. And I think for this team to be a really successful team going forward, it will be really, 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 really in our best interest to get a back who's a playable back and can almost potentially split the backfield. Just because it's like that takes a lot more pressure off of the quarterback and off of those receivers who still, we still need to see develop and things of that sort. So that's why I would go B or B plus.
Yeah, and I would have gone A plus, but you fucked off with the Jonathan Brooks pick. That has to automatically
give it a fucking break, man.
That has to drop. That automatically drops it. That automatically drops it for me. Because you got an F on that, so that's an F going into it. So weighted average, we're gonna go to a B. Just because you fucked off, and then there was nothing else behind Chuba that was desirable in the slightest bit. I know you said what you said about Mike Boone, but he had like 7 carries on the year. So it's like,
yeah. I mean, you're
we'll
right.
see. Like,
and
Miles
was
need
RB
another.
too.
Because Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You need another running back in that room.
You definitely
so I can't give you an A
because
when there's room for improvement.
I don't know if you want to go down this road.
Absolutely, I'm willing to go down whatever road you want to go down.
I don't,
for sure,
because it's like if you don't address that problem, you may be looking at, I hate to say it, another Christian McCaffrey situation to where you run him in the fucking dirt.
I mean, I would agree, and I'm not gonna say Chuba Hubbard's injury problems are as bad as Christian McCaffrey's, just because we saw him do a lot of work this year, and he made it for the overwhelming majority. But that knee is a problem.
Yeah.
That knee is an issue. That knee is a problem. I think I came in here like 2 or 3 weeks ago and downplayed it. But the fact that it can just give out and pop out of place and he could potentially be fucked off at any time, like we saw in the Giants game, and then there was another game that it happened too. I saw it in training camp. It was very bad, a joint practice against the Jets, when I don't know who it was, but Chuba was finishing the rep, whatever the case may be, and bro tapped him. He tapped him. At first, it looked like a huge hit, but then when you saw the replay, it was literally just because Chuba's knee gave out. So the knee is a problem, and I'm not going to say that you're not right about the fact that if you don't address it, then it could be another Christian McCaffrey situation. And honestly, it could be worse because Chuba just simply is not as productive as Christian McCaffrey in the receiving game.
And
so,
you got to think about that he technically doesn't have as much tread on his tires as Christian McCaffrey had at this point, because you got to think about he sat behind Christian McCaffrey. He split reps with Deontay Foreman. So it wasn't like he was taking a boatload of the snaps as soon as he got to the Carolina Panthers. So, and being that, you just said, like, you think that the knee is a problem. So it's just like the knee being a problem and it's not as much tread or that's going off the tires as of yet, as far as, like, how much he's, like, been in the games, then, like, that's kind of alarming. So you need to address that by getting a really good running back, I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree because, I mean, we had the conversation multiple times this year about Chuba needing 20 to 25 touches a game for you to win. If that number can go from Chuba to getting 20 to 25 to him getting potentially 14 or 15, and then you have another back coming in that's getting anywhere between 7 to 12, and they're efficient, you can live with that. And I think that prolongs Chuba Hubbard's life as a running back. I do. I would agree with that statement for sure. Quarterback. I can't wait I would like for y'all to go first because I can't wait to hear this. I want to see if niggas are on their knees tonight or not. Okay, he's wiping his mouth. Y'all can't see him. But as soon as I said that, he proceeded to wipe his mouth. So I know what I'm getting from him. Go ahead. Give the people your letter. Go ahead.
Yeah, A plus.
Yeah, see, I knew. Cool, perfect. All right, I don't need any context.
Wait, sorry. A plus. Can we do that? Can we give him two marks? Okay, cool. A plus.
Yeah, and I just think that it's like so disgusting the way that y'all have been maneuvering like off of 6 or 7 games, and I'm ecstatic, just like the next guy. But somebody did comment on the Instagram post, as well as a lot of comments on the X post about MVP. I was absolutely befuddled last week when y'all gave Bryce Young MVP
Listen.
for 6 or 7 games.
For
I was
those-
just dumbfounded, transparently.
For those of y'all that commented that, I want you to go and type in MVP and then type in what it means. All right, and then you take that definition and figure out who the fuck it applies to the most.
Chuba
Because
Hubbard.
when Bryce played like dog shit, the team was dog shit. When Bryce played like that nigga that we know he is, the team started fucking winning and gave y'all some fucking hope again.
Yeah, but it also is about consistency. And Chuba Hubbard was the most consistent, valuable piece.
We're
that the
talking about a
Carolina
guy who
Panthers
had no consistency throughout his career in his time in the NFL up until this season.
Yeah,
Frank
but,
Wright was a
like,
fucking
he
shit
also
show. The
wasn't-
other
he also
the other
wasn't
guy,
a starting back. Like last year, Chuba Hubbard became the starting back like week 10 because Deuce Staley was so obsessed with Miles Sanders.
I'm talking about Bryce. Like his situation at coach was a fucking shit show,
Okay, what about this year?
and
The
he had to
first 2
learn. He
weeks?
had to learn a whole new system with whole new
more copy,
with
please.
with
Got it,
with
okay.
new weapons at wide receiver outside of Adam Thielen, with a brand new offensive line that he didn't know if he could trust them or not. There was a lot of things that went, there's a lot more that goes into play when you're a fucking quarterback opposed to being a goddamn running back. You
Okay.
have one portion of the play to remember versus the entire fucking play. And knowing Dave Canales,
Are we copping please for this nigga doing his job?
If we're gonna compare,
Because he had to do his
a
fucking job.
Frank Reich system to a fucking Dave Canales system, they're not even the same. Like not even remotely the same. So like we have to be honest about that. So y'all can back off, get back, and when my nigga wins MVP of the fucking NFL, then what?
What
Then
is your
come back
grade?
and talk to me.
What is your grade? I hope that you're right. I would love that would be crow that I would love to come on here and have to eat. I hope you're right. What is your grade?
I'm gonna say B.
Thank you for being realistic.
Just because, like, if you go A+, there's no room for improvement, and I think there's still a lot of improvement to be had with Bryce Young and with the quarterback situation. One, because I think that we seen Andy win a game, but in all actuality, after that game, we seen Andy be who Andy really is. Like, I don't think that he's that good of a quarterback, and you asked about the quarterback room as a whole. But then I think that, like, if you go back and look at the first couple of games with Bryce and, the season before, it's just like, okay, like, there's a part of this guy who, like, he could revert back to that. We hope to God that he doesn't, but, like, that's still a part of his DNA. Like, you can't escape that because that's a part of, like, who he was at that point in time. But there's still a lot of things that he can get better on and that he needs to improve on. So I'm going to go B. Like, I think he finished the season very strong. And, going into next season, it gives, the fan base a lot of hope to what we can have and what the future can look like for the Carolina Panthers, starting with the quarterback position. But, I mean, all in all, you have to win more than 5 games, technically 4 that he won. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go A+ just based off of that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think A+ is disgusting. I will say B-. I will say B-. I think the last 5, 6, 7 games that Bryce Young participated in and played in, I think that definitely saved this room from potentially getting a D+ for me. But I mean, you just simply can't take away what he did. I think that Andy Dalton did a halfway decent job when he was the starter. I do. Obviously, the one that sticks out the most is the Vegas game because that was our first win on the season. We were there, once in a lifetime opportunity. So that game is kind of
Hate
Talking
whoever
about
missed
it, bro.
it.
Stop talking about it.
You missed it. You missed out.
Yeah, hate that for you. You can go watch it right now on the G2S network.
I've watched it
under
every
Game
night
Day
and cry.
vlog.
I cry myself to sleep.
Facts, but I think that this room overall, like, we don't have to go too into detail on it, but I think B- is good, and I'm judging that not necessarily based on potentially other quarterback rooms, but I'm judging that based on what this quarterback room has and comparing it to last season and what this quarterback room produced.
Can I adjust my grade?
Sure.
I'll go A-.
Okay.
I'll take the plus away. I'll give him an A- since y'all.
You're taking 2 pluses away, actually. You gave him A++.
Yeah, I'll go.
Come eating
I'll
at his
go.
finest.
I'll go.
I
I'll
might
go.
have to break that out.
I'll go A-, even though I don't want to. Bryce, stud. Once Rod gave you that text, you feel me? But
Ohio State is putting absolute cock in Notre Dame right now.
And Judkins is going crazy. He already has 2 touchdowns. damn near about crib that shit again.
Yeah,
Draft
it's
stock
over with.
rising. And
it's
then
over
from here we'll go to the unit that gave Bryce such a high mark from me as an A-, and that is to the offensive line,
A plus.
who I'm going to give an A+ to
A+.
as well. I don't think there really needs to be too much discourse on that. Y'all saw them go from the worst offensive line in the league to damn near one of the best.
Yes.
Top 5 in pretty much every major statistical category. Even Ike Emekwanu wasn't quite as
Go slow.
even
Go
well.
slow.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Go slow.
Even Ike Emekwanu wasn't quite as big of a problem as he was the season prior.
Okay.
And
Was
I
still a
agree with
problem.
that because we didn't really call him out. And when you don't notice a player, then that means they're probably
At that position.
Offensive line, yeah.
When you don't
offensive line
notice
for
an
sure.
offensive lineman, they're doing their fucking job.
exactly.
Sure.
Except for Robbie Hunt. I noticed him, and he was damn sure
He was
doing his
going
job.
crazy.
He was fucking,
Shout out to Robbie Hunt.
yeah.
Robbie Hunt
Love
should be
that
an all
energy.
pro.
Love that energy that he played with this year.
He should be an all pro.
Other than one game,
Other than one game. But I mean,
with him and Damian Lewis just decided to put together a bullshit effort. I forgot what game that was. What game was that? Who do we play before Atlanta?
the last time, week 17,
Yeah,
I have no idea who.
Tampa Bay.
I can't remember, but
Tampa
one
Bay.
of them games they just
Tampa
put.
Bay.
It
put
wasn't
together.
that game though. It wasn't that.
It was a little
Okay.
bit
It
before
was
that.
a little
like
it was
a
like
week.
week 13,
Yeah, it
12,
was like in the
something
middle
like
of
that.
the season type.
Dallas? Was it Dallas? Is that the one you're
I
referring to?
don't think it was
I
Dallas.
don't think it was Dallas
think
either.
a
I think it
little
was
bit
like
before
Cincinnati or
Dallas.
some shit.
Yeah, I think it might have been the Cincinnati game.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about for sure. I know exactly what game you're talking about. Well, I remember the performance. I'll say that. I obviously
Can't
don't know what
remember the
game.
opponent.
Yeah, but I know what performance you're referring to for sure.
'Cause that shit stunk.
Yeah, it
But
did.
A
It was
plus,
horrible.
A plus
A
for
plus,
sure
though.
for the offensive
Yeah,
line.
I'll give everybody on the offensive line an A plus except for Ike Mekwanu. Ike Mekwanu is gonna get
B minus.
B minus. Yeah, B minus. But as a unit, A plus. Ike Mekwanu. Shout out to you. Because for whatever reason you felt like you had arrived, per your words, after season number 1. Season number 2 was absolutely terrible, and season 3 you bounced back and you looked like a serviceable left tackle in the NFL. Shout out to you because without you, the unit wouldn't have worked.
And see, Timo, all you had to do was leave us unblocked for just a little bit longer, and you would have gotten your fucking flowers. But since you wanted to be a pussy, you don't even get to receive it.
See, that was Tavian York going.
Get it right. Get it right. If you're
Tavian
gonna
York
say the
going.
government, get it right.
Tavian York going.
Oh my God.
It's a tequila.
listen, Timo.
Can you not call him out of his name? Can you retry it, bro?
Okay,
Because I
my
have to
fault.
stand on what you say. So can you retry it?
Timo, if you weren't so soft, then you could have heard us praise you
little
and give
better.
you flowers. I gave you player of the game pretty much every week last season. But
Yes,
we
you
were
did.
we were blocked, and you couldn't even receive that. So when I call you a pussy, it's out of love because I fuck with you, but you don't fuck with us. So I have to stand on it because you stood on it first.
Quinshawn Judkins again.
He's going crazy.
3 of them hoes.
Might have to draft him.
Maybe. Where do we go? We went tight ends. Let's kind of speed this up a little bit. I feel like we're falling behind time. Tight ends. This is a doozy. I'm gonna say C flat. I think that Jatavion Sanders showed spurts. I don't like, and I said this Friday night as well. I don't like the way that when he got hurt in the Kansas City game, I hated the way that he became almost invisible in this offense. I don't like what the coaching staff did with that. I think Tommy Tremble looked very good. Actually, let me retract that statement. I think Tommy Tremble made progress, and I think that we saw flashes of what he can be. Now, obviously, it's kind of hard saying that when you're talking about a guy's 4th season in the NFL, but I know for a fact that Tommy Tremble is one of Dave Canales and Cole's, one of their guys. So I think that we will see a little bit more. I think Tommy Tremble will be coming back. That's another name, more foreshadowing on my list that I believe will be returning or needs to return, because I think that he bridges that gap with Jatavion Sanders in between this, coaching staff, and I think that he helps him develop a lot more. So I'm going to go C flat for this position group for sure.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Nothing really stood out crazy or anything like that, but I would say speaking on the Jatavion Sanders, how they didn't get him back implemented into the offense, to shoot them a little bit of bail, it was a nasty injury. It was a neck injury, so I'm not sure what to what degree like that played into that, because it could have been a situation where it's like, okay, we don't want to go too crazy. You know, this is your first year. We still have you for years to come. So, like, let's chill a little bit. But, yeah, I would say a C. Nothing really crazy, but also you can see the potential for that to be a very good room going forward.
Yeah, C for me as well for all the reasons that y'all laid out. Ian Thomas, dog shit, goodbye. Tommy Trimble, serviceable. Hope he comes back, foreshadowing. And JT, I really like what I saw from JT prior to the injury, and I hope he gets back right and gets back on that track, because he was a young guy who we all were aware of was going to take a developmental period, and we definitely saw the spurts and flashes of why you wanted to draft him. He's got a lot of potential. So C, optimistic C though.
Cool.
And then are we jumping to the defense?
Yeah.
Because I can go ahead and foreshadow for y'all Fs all around.
Jesus. Okay, I'm not going to go that far. But we can start with D-line. I'm going to say a D+. A D+. D+ at defensive line. Ashawn and Jadeveon are the reason why that's up. DJ Wanham in his 3 or 4 game stretch where he was going crazy, he's part of the reason why that's not a F. There were a lot of names that just were in and out a lot. It was just a carousel in that D-line room. I'm going D+. There was no real elite pass rusher, no real constant pressure. Like there was a 2-game stretch where we got 5+ sacks, and a couple of people touched on it and talked about it. But even in those 2 games where we got 5+ sacks, it was a situation where, like, if we weren't getting a sack, our secondary was getting torched because the quarterback had so much time to throw the football. So those stats were a little misleading, but I'll say a D+.
Yeah, I'll go a D or D-. And really just because it's like, I know that that defensive line would have looked a lot different if you had Derek Brown, but being at the fact that it was just Ashawn and Jadeveon Clowney, which there was a lot of games where he was just half-ass effort, but they really couldn't do much throughout the season, really couldn't stop the run. And like you said, there was only a certain point to where they were getting to the quarterback, really. So, yeah, I'm going to go a D. There needs to be a lot of improvement there. They look like bullshit for a lot of the season, which is the reason why they gave up the most points in NFL history. So,
yeah, I'm going to go, if I'm being really, like, fair about it, I would also give them a D-, because I didn't really see anything that popped out. Losing Derek Brown hurt a lot. I really like what I saw from Ashawn. Loved what I saw from Ashawn, actually. DJ Wanham, I liked what I saw from him coming back. Jadeveon Clowney, I liked what I saw in spurts from him as well. But I didn't like what I saw from any of them outside of Ashawn, maybe. I would give Ashawn a pretty high marks on the season, but outside of Ashawn, I really didn't see anything on this D-line that I was like, yeah, I absolutely need to see that back in a Panthers uniform next season, because, I mean, just doing my job here, fellas.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it.
Linebackers.
D. Close to a F. I damn near just want to give it an F. Outside of Josie Jewell.
Yeah, our linebacker play was not good this year at all.
And it was it was also a carousel at that position too. It
was
was not very appetizing.
Because Josie Jewell, it took him a little bit of time to come along as well, and then he ended up getting injured. I'm going to F.
F+ for me. Yeah, F+.
Yeah, I'm also going with with an F at that group.
Secondary?
A lot of guys that I wouldn't be afraid of letting go in that room.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a Frankie Louisville.
No.
All of them are on the market to me.
You don't have a Jeremy Chink. Yeah, and with all due respect, Josie Jewell, thank you so much for what you did. But, I mean, if you decide to walk or we decide to cut you, because I don't think he's under contract for 2 more years, I think. So I think he'll be returning.
I want to bring Josie back. I saw enough from Josie where I'm okay with bringing him back. I just don't necessarily want Josie Jewell to be my best linebacker next season like he was this year.
That's the point.
Respectfully. Like, Josie Jewell, you balled out at times in this season. Loved what I saw from you in spurts, but you can't be the best linebacker on the roster. That's a major red flag.
Sure. Do we want to do cornerbacks and safeties, or do we want to do secondary as a whole?
Let's just do secondary, bro.
Let's break it up, because what we saw from the cornerbacks, I personally would give the cornerbacks a C. Because I like that I saw JC healthy. Outside of whatever performances he did, I'm just happy that the guy made it through an entire season.
Which is nasty though, bro, because
14 games.
we shouldn't just have to
Almost
point
an
to the
entire
fact
season.
that you were healthy.
Yeah.
Like I want to point to the fact that like
But
you're-
was he not locked
Well,
down?
he was also
though?
a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I mean, he
Well,
was
So I'll
scrapping
give him
shit.
that.
They were on our top about that too for not. None of us three had J.C. Horn as DPOY this year.
well,
They were on our top on X about that.
Well, if
That's
they go
fine.
and look, the only thing that I hate about JC is that he doesn't travel. And I know y'all are going to say it's a personnel issue, but to me, that's just not the case. And I'm going to stand by that. I don't care how many times people go against it or have anything to say about it. Like, that's my stance with him because the other number one cornerbacks in the league do so. So it's just like, I just can't allow you to get that off. So
Yeah, and y'all can be as mad as you want. The point still stands is that JC, while he had a solid year and he was a Pro Bowl, which is voted on by the fans, it was underwhelming. From what we've seen from him prior to all the injuries and stuff, we've seen times where JC Horn has looked like that guy. Top 5 cornerback play out of him. Didn't see that consistently enough. We saw too many miscommunications. You could put that on the safeties as well, but we saw too many times this season where it looked like he and the safety were on completely different pages. We saw Mike Jackson come in and fill in a role, which we would have liked to see more of J.C. Horn in that. Like, we shouldn't have seen as much Mike Jackson this season as we did see. So
I would beg to differ. I would think that you would see more Mike Jackson just based on the production that you're getting from JC. You can't throw at JC. You have to go to Mike Jackson.
When I say that, I mean like making plays. Like I saw Mike Jackson. I did like how JC came downhill a lot this season, though. I did enjoy that aspect of watching his game, which I wasn't super confident in following all the injuries that he would want to come down and really lay shit, but he did. So to that, I will give him credit. But for that, I'm going to say a C because behind Mike Jackson and JC, what is there?
Shaw Smith Wade, B- for me. Because I think that with the lack of pressure that we caused up front, cornerbacks had a hole for a long time. They had to cover for a long time this season. I'm sure on average it was probably one of the highest. But I personally like the job that JC and Mike Jackson both did. Now, like you said, when you get past that, you know, it's troubled waters. And if we're, obviously we're talking about the room as a whole, but I like the development from Shaw Smith Wade. Dane Jackson, thank you for your services. They're no longer needed.
he might be one of the worst corners I've ever seen. I'll just be honest. I'll just go ahead and put that out there.
I don't even think, for me, it's a might. I think he is 1,000% one of the worst cornerbacks I've ever seen. I honestly don't know what I was thinking over the summer with trying to gas him up. I might go delete that video tonight, actually, because I'm just baffled at at what I saw from him this season. But I'm going to go B- for cornerbacks. Safeties, Jordan Fuller, thank you for your services. Unfortunately, Jordan Fuller, for me personally, has been a guy for the Carolina Panthers that I have grown to despise. For some reason or another, I don't really know why. I do know why. It's because my expectations for him were so high. I really thought that Jordan Fuller was a hooper for real. And then when I turned on the film, it just simply wasn't that. Xavier Woods, thank you for your services. You played a crucial part in our defense for the past 3 or 4 seasons. Good dude, ball hawk at times. Love the fact that you come and stretch shit occasionally, but unfortunately, when I turn on the film, you're a little too slow.
What about Nick Scott? We haven't
Nick
talked
Scott.
about him in a minute.
Nick Scott, Hooper. I think that he's a young guy that is going to develop. I think he showed spurts. There were spurts of good and spurts of bad because sometimes it seemed like he didn't deserve to be on the NFL field. Other times he looked like a hooper. So I think Nick Scott is solid. We didn't see Dunk really on defense at all this year.
Which we
He
don't
was
need
battling injuries though for a majority of this season.
I just
A broken leg.
I'm
yeah,
under the
sure.
belief that we just don't need to though.
No,
And which
I would agree.
which is fine. Like he's great on special teams. He brings a lot of energy there. And sometimes that's like all a guy is, that's what you're in there for.
I personally would love
Sure.
to see a little bit more of Dunk at strong safety. Like I
think that
kind
if
of
he
want to
would've
bring
moved-
him downhill a little bit and let him start kind of letting loose because he's the one guy on this team. Well, he's one of the only guys on
Certified
this
crash
team
out.
who I love their fucking energy. Like
Yeah.
what's that clip where he called bro a fat ass?
Yeah.
He was talking
On the
shit
mic-
to that
on
damn
the mic.
lineman. Yeah, where
Yeah.
the ref turned on his shit and you hear Dunk in the background chatting. Like, I
And
love
crashed
that.
out against the Saints, I believe.
Yeah, I love
in the-
that
in the
energy.
tunnel.
And I want that on the I want to harness that and bring it into some, like, fucking blue tint type shit.
Which is nice, but sometimes that just doesn't need to be like that. Energy is fine, and that's what we love to see, and are appreciating that. But at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to be on the field in the starting role
Fair
as
enough.
a position like safety, because I just don't think he's that good in coverage, and
He's little.
yeah.
He's little.
Fair enough. I would give them
Damani?
a D. I'm gonna give that room a D.
Damani.
I like Damani.
I like Damani. I love Damani.
I think
Damani is a dog.
Yeah, I like Damani, but I think there's still like progress to be had there, in which I think like another season under his belt, like he'll be getting there slowly. But I mean, at the same time, I just still want I just need something better. So I would say a D as well.
I have a name for you when I talk about my free agent wish list. That is a lot better, and I believe that we're gonna get him. Well, actually, no, I don't, but still.
And then
C
special
minus.
teams.
C minus. Let's not even go to special teams.
F.
To me, I was about to say, to me, special teams was an F. Johnny Hecker went from being one of the best punters in the league to just being extremely mediocre. And Eddie Pinheiro is just a fucking hop off. I hope I have to never see him. I hope I never have to see him in a Carolina Panthers uniform ever again. I have a lot more details in which I wish would happen, but I'm gonna chill, be respectful, not call anybody out of their name, not talk about anybody's loved ones or anything like that. I'm just gonna say that I hope that I never have to see Eddie Pinheiro in the Carolina Panthers uniform again. Eddie Pinheiro would probably be the reason why I would end up in jail behind the Carolina Panthers should it ever happen. So I'll just say that. So F from the special teams unit.
F is
and on top of that, our kickoff coverage, every time for whatever reason, it seemed like a team popped something for 25, 35, 40 yards a game. That's how it felt to me. If that's real, I don't know, but that's how it felt. I was very uncomfortable watching our kickoff coverage. I was. And I don't know if that's because of the coach. I don't know what that's because of, but F. F. Let's move on. Let's see. We have a lot to get through and not a lot of time, so we might have to table some of these conversations, honestly.
Well, I think the most important thing today to tap on is for sure our list of free agents are 4.
Yes, 1,000%. We have to touch that.
And I have my list ready to go.
What do you have the free agents that you need to see back, or do you have?
I have the free agents that I want to see
wish list.
them go after the wish list.
Okay, so let's go wish list first. Actually, no. Let's go. Do you have returnings?
I can get that.
I mean, I sent y'all the screenshot. I'll kill you sometime. I got you. The top returners. Excuse me. Retract. Just forget all about that. The top unrestricted free agents that were Carolina Panthers this past season that we need to see back. I'm going to start us off by saying Brady Christensen. I think that Brady Christensen is a dog. I think that anytime you have a guy that you can literally plug into any position and there's no real drop-off and there's success, I think he adds a significant amount of value. Brady Christensen, we saw multiple times this season as well as last that he has what it takes to be a starting NFL offensive lineman, period. Like, there's no specific position box that you have to try and put him in. There's none of that. Brady Christensen is just a phenomenal offensive lineman that I believe you can put in any position. Give me Brady Christensen as number 1. Mike Jackson is number 2 for me. We just talked about Mike Jackson and how, he supported J.C. Horn. Can we get better in that cornerback room? Absolutely. Do I believe we need to get better in that cornerback room? Absolutely. But Mike Jackson, what he gave us this season, coming literally at the start of the season, week 1, with no real preparation, something to write home about, in my opinion. And the fact that he comes down and slides on shit is something else that, excites me. The PG version. Yeah, I think Mike Jackson is number 2. This is just my list, and I'm gonna give y'all
How many are we doing?
3.
Oh.
Oh, I said I put 4. I only have 3.
Okay.
But if y'all want to do 4, do 4. I don't care. My last one, Tommy Tremble. Yeah, we'll do 4. Do you have 4?
Well, I would have the same list that you just put out. My 4th would be J.J. Jensen. So that's like,
All right.
so, yeah, but that's
Shout out to J.J. Jensen and his folks, because we, friend of the show.
but that's only because that's what the list is. Like, there's nobody else that is a free agent that I'm like, I have to have that guy back. I mean,
Boone.
You could make the case for Mike Boone, and you could make the case for Johnny Hecker outside of last season, but
That's about it.
It's very, everybody else, appreciate your services. Goodbye.
I figured it would be very similar. Do you
Yeah.
have any differences, really?
No, I'm just gonna stop at 3 because I don't want to start reaching.
So Mike Boone is a reach?
To me,
Okay.
I just don't want to. Yeah,
So let's just do a group top 3 free agents that we need to see back.
Yeah.
Mike
Brady.
Jackson, to be specific, Brady Christensen, and Tommy Tremble.
Yep.
Those are the 3 that you have to bring back. Now, the caveat with Brady Christensen is the fact that he is unrestricted, I believe. Yes, Brady Christensen is unrestricted. So Brady Christensen can go out and test the market, and unfortunately, I just don't know if I'm personally willing to spend starting O-line money on somebody that potentially may not be a starter. However, if your plan is to allow Austin Corbett to walk, which I believe it should be, then you go get Brady and you pay him starting center money. That's just my assessment. But it gets very, very sticky with that situation because if he's not going to be the starting center, then it's very, very hard for you to pay X amount of dollars starting money for a guy that's going to be offensive lineman number 6.
I just damn near think it's a no-brainer though because Austin Corbett can't stay healthy.
Yeah, Austin Corbett, thank you so much for your services. You have a beautiful, beautiful parents as
Yeah.
well. We met them out in Vegas.
Yeah, they're super nice, super cool
They made
people.
the vlog. Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. But yeah, we just unfortunately with your age and with your injury history over the past 2 years, we just can't continue to run the risk. We can't. And I think you're a phenomenal teammate. I think you're a phenomenal leader. However, business is business, and I think your time has come. I do. Free agent wish list. Free agent wish list.
How many are we getting capped at on this?
4.
Shit.
4, yeah. I mean, I trust me when I tell you I struggle. I probably could have had 10. Now, I wanna preface this segment by this is no in-depth analysis on cap space, anything of the sort. This is literally just us playing Madden, seeing the free agent list, seeing who's available, and us making a play for them. This is just a uncapped, unrestricted free agent wish list from us. Literally no limitations on it at all, just for fun and games. But I believe that we can make some of these things happen depending on what we do with cap space, depending on restructures, cuts, et cetera, et cetera. Would y'all like me to start, or do y'all want to go? I'll go first because I feel like y'all don't necessarily have y'all's list together fully.
I have my list.
Okay. Well, do you want to start, or would you like me to go?
Yeah, I can lead off. That's
Okay,
not a problem.
go.
So my list, there's going to be a theme here. I'm going with Josh Sweat as one of my top targets, DN for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he kind of gets lost in the shuffle there because they do have so much talent along that D-line in Philly. But my top targets would be Josh Sweat. And then these next 2 are kind of interchangeable. So I'm going to consider them one. But I either want Chase Young or Marcus Davenport, both of which who played for the Saints, also D linemen. As y'all can see, there is a theme with those first 2. Then I would also go after Dre Greenlaw, knowing that linebacking room needs some help. Dre Greenlaw is coming off an injury. He has fully rehabbed with the 49ers this offseason, or this past year. Only played in a game or 2, I believe, for them.
Yeah, he get fucked off again.
Yeah, he kind of tweaked something. But Dre Greenlaw is still only 28 years old. And when he is playing, he is one of the best linebackers in the league. And if you want somebody who will come down and stretch some shit, Dre Greenlaw is that guy. He isn't wrapped all the way tight. And then my final player on this wish list would be T. Higgins. I would be remiss if I didn't have a free agent list that included the best free agent wide receiver out there, considering the fact that Adam Thielen is contemplating retirement, and I didn't really like what I saw from XL. I have to go ahead and throw T. Higgins on that list because I think he would fit in with this system well. But definitely D-line, linebacker, and receiver. That's my wish list.
So I did not take the liberty of putting T. Higgins on the list just because we're scheduled to have a conversation about T. Garrett, Tyreek, and DK. He's not on my list, but I will say honorable mention, should he not be tagged, T. Higgins. Josh Sweat, the first name on my list. Great minds think alike, brother. Ball knowers, type shit.
Type shit.
Nah, but Josh Sweat, I think that, like Tavian said, he gets lost in the shuffle of things in Philly just because there are so many great D linemen that play for that team, and they have a plethora that they can rotate out for different situations, different formations. But I think Josh Sweat still has a lot left in the tank. I think he's a dog, and I would love to see him in process blue. This name right here, I like a nigga that's going to come down and stretch something. Justin Reed, Kansas City Chiefs. Love it. We need help in that safety room. We just had a conversation about, some of the younger guys, whatever the case may be. But we also had a conversation about Xavier Woods and Jordan Fuller. I think Justin Reed is a great piece for you to add to that back line of this defense and makes it significantly better. He can guard. He can tackle. He doesn't get beat too often. He sees the field very well. There's no real downside to this guy.
And he will hit.
And that's probably reason 1A why I want him in process blue is the fact that he will hit.
That's a great name.
Another great name, in my opinion, Kazir White, linebacker, Arizona, demon.
Yeah.
Go turn on the film. I don't want to give a full dissertation on Kazir. You just go look at it for yourself and tell me that he wouldn't look good in one of them helmets there. He adds a lot.
Another great name. I like that.
And then finally, we just saw him exit the playoffs on Saturday night, I believe. Carlton Davis, cornerback. I said bring Mike Jackson back, and I think that if you do bring Mike Jackson back, this still doesn't change my list in any regard at all. I'm a depth guy. I think it's important to have depth. With J.C. Horn's injury history, I think that Carlton Davis would be hard-pressed not to find his way on the field, even if we bump somebody down and tell him to go nickel, whatever the case may be. I think Carlton Davis is another guy that would be a phenomenal add to this team, and it would fill a need. So I took the liberty of filling the holes on defense that we didn't fill last year because I expect this front office and this team to be hyper-focused on the defensive side of the ball this year.
I like your list a lot. A lot of really good names.
Thank you, brother.
So my list is I had Josh Sweat and Chase Young. Just because like both of y'all said Josh Sweat, I'm gonna just go Chase Young. Just because I think he's a young player. Currently plays for the Saints. He did have his stint with the 49ers, but I think he has a lot left in the tank, a lot left to be desired, and I think that him coming off the edge of that defensive line would just be nasty. And then I have Javon Holland. Love Javon Holland. I mentioned him earlier in the year. I mean, I just think he's a stud. I think he'll hit. He's good in coverage. So I have him as well. Have T. Higgins for obvious reasons. You just know what T. Higgins brings to the table. Like, he's definitely been overshadowed by Jamar Chase, being that he's the number one receiver there. But I think T. Higgins is really great. Now, the two that I'm stuck in between with linebacker-wise, and I'll tell you why. Kazir White. Kazir White is a stud. Had him on my fantasy team, so I had to do a lot of watching him this season with Arizona. But, I mean, I think the guy just has a knack for the football. So you're always going to find him around the football, whether that is, making the tackle or just even being in the secondary. I just think he's a stud of a player as well. And then another guy who's probably going to drive everybody crazy is Isaiah Simmons. And the reason that I say that is because I wanted Isaiah Simmons before we drafted Derrick Brown. I thought that we were going to get Isaiah Simmons coming out of Clemson. And he's been with New York. He was with Arizona. and I know that like people don't really hear his name as much just because he was drafted super high and hasn't had that level of production. But I think that Isaiah Simmons is a player that you can play anywhere. You can put him at safety, you can put him at linebacker, you can put him anywhere on the field, and he's going to go get money. I think he's a younger player. I think he has the potential to make a lot of big plays, and I don't think that he will cost that much. And then also I like Zach Brown as well, or Zach Braun, whatever, from
Philly. Yeah.
He's a stud as well.
Yeah,
I know we only
he's a
said
dog.
4, but he's a fucking dog. So
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
he's just a little older. He's 28. And so that's the reason I went Isaiah Simmons, is because he's a lot younger.
I had Isaiah on my list too. I replaced him for T last minute. Only because, like what you said, you can deploy him anywhere on that field. But I also feel like you already had a player similar to Isaiah Simmons in a Jeremy Chin. And EJ couldn't figure out what the fuck to do with him. So I wouldn't trust EJ getting his hands on Isaiah Simmons, because I think you would kind of find yourself in the same position with EJ not knowing what to fucking play Isaiah Simmons at. And also just because I don't think his production really matched what we were expecting, because he's in New York this year, and I didn't really see too much of him in New York.
Yeah, but the only thing is with the EJ thing, I think this could be that Jeremy Chin situation should be a situation that he learns from. It's like no
Facts.
matter if you think, oh, I can't play him, this guy needs to be on the field for obvious reasons. Like he makes your team better. It's just as simple as that. If you're going to be a top defensive coordinator, if you're going to be considered for head coaching jobs, you find a place for guys like that to play in your defense. You just have to. Or you get clipped, like I already want you to be. But, you know.
I agree. Another name that I'm gonna add 2 more names, and this is it. They didn't make my list. But they go along with the theme of what we were talking about earlier with trying to add running back room depth. Javonte Williams.
Love Devontae.
Denver Broncos, what is this, 4th year, I believe.
Out of
Went to
Carolina.
UNC. Yep. So kind of a hometown kid. That's a name that I would keep an eye on for sure. And then Jalen Warren. I don't believe that we're going to pay Jalen Warren the amount of money that he's going to demand, because I think he's a really, really good back. Very similar to Chuba Hubbard, actually. I think he's a very, very good back that got stuck behind a back that was supposed to be better, and Najee Harris. Chuba's situation is different because C-Mac obviously was better. Got stuck behind a guy that was supposed to be better, but every time he got an opportunity throughout the 3 or 4 years that he was with Pittsburgh, he maximized it. In my opinion, he runs extremely hard. He's a threat in the running game and the passing game. I love Jalen Warren, personally. I love Jalen Warren. Those are 2 names that I would definitely be on the lookout for if we're looking to add that running back depth. And Javonte Williams is probably going to fit into your budget a little bit better than a Jalen Warren will.
Yeah,
for sure.
And just to go back to Isaiah Simmons, I can just only imagine just like a fast defense and being able to run sideline to sideline. Like, that is something that he's going to provide, and I think that would do wonders for this defense, honestly.
Sure. I agree. I don't think his production has matched what I believe he could be, but that's not to say that we shouldn't give him an opportunity to do so.
Because I don't think you'll have to pay him that much. Because it's like he's going to know, like, I mean, I got drafted top 10 pick, and that production hasn't necessarily matched that. So, like, I'm not about to come here expecting a big contract. Sure. And I think that we have the money that we can pay a guy like that.
And it would be his 3rd team.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Let's go here.
Dirty damn Lions, man. Fucking off my...
That's what I was going to ask. Is the leaderboard still the same?
I didn't hit because these dirty damn Lions.
Are you and Dylan still tied? Yep. So this could be for all the marbles.
Wait, you have 5? Did you hit? So you're at 4.
He hit last week, I thought. He's at 5. I thought he was...
No, you didn't hit last week.
No, I'm still at 4.
Yeah, he's...
Oh, so you're at 4 and Dylan is at 5.
Yeah.
So y'all 2 are tied. Dylan is at 5.
In the lead still, yeah.
And I'm completely out of the competition.
Right.
Got you. So...
Let me just go look at my ticket from
I'm not sure if we're doing this to the end of the FPFO season or to the end of the NFL season. Not sure how we're going about that. But right now, as it stands, 5 for Dylan, our content manager, if you're new here. Huge piece in what we do all around. Shout out to Dylan. Phenomenal team guy. 5 for him, 4 for our producer Tavian, 4 for Tavian or Terrence, our host, and then 0 for me, your other host, and I am no longer participating. So I have assumed the role of calling out Dylan's ticket.
That's very nasty.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's absolutely disgusting, to be honest. I'm really, really embarrassed by myself, honestly. Here we go. I think Dylan got a little offended by y'all calling him. Actually, never mind. No, he didn't. Never mind. Plus 547. Dylan's asshole has gotten a lot.
Oh, he went under. Aren't we supposed to be plus 550?
No, it's plus 500.
Oh,
It's
okay,
plus 500.
okay.
But yeah, Dylan, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's gotten very, very, very conservative at the end of the season, whether it be FPFO or the NFL season. For those of y'all that are new, we do a segment called Juice. It's a betting segment, plus 500 parlays or better, and everybody throws in $150 in a pot, winner take all. If we end up with a tie, what's going to end up happening is everybody going to put their 150 in. And transparently, what's going to happen is you're going to end up paying, or you're going to end up paying one person, and I'm going to end up paying the other. That's how it will go. Yeah. But hopefully we don't end up with a tie. I want to see a winner. 7-leg parlay from Dylan. Saquon, over 100 yards. Jalen Hurts, under 1.5 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen, 25 alt rushing yards. Josh Allen, alt 1+ passing touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, 200 passing yards. Patrick Mahomes, 2+ touchdowns. And Travis Kelce, 50+ receiving yards. 7-leg parlay, all games being played this weekend. On Sunday, the Eagles will square off against the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship. And on the other side of the bracket, the Buffalo Bills will go against the 2-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Not a bad ticket. Plus 547. Yeah, I was about to say that's a really good ticket. That's a really good one. I'm not going to lie. That's a really good ticket.
I'll go next. And all of this is going to be dependent on the weather as well. I forgot to take that into account, but oh well, we still ride with it. So I have the Washington Commanders plus 9.5. This ticket is plus 860, by the way. Washington Commanders plus 9.5. I have that game going over 42.5 total points. I have Jaden Daniels, 200+ passing yards. Zacchaeus, 25 receiving yards. Now, I know he didn't get shit last game. I just refuse that that's going to be the case again this game. Saquon Barkley, 2 receptions, and then the Buffalo Bills plus 5.5 against the Chiefs.
Not mad at that one either.
Plus 860.
I think that's a really good ticket as well.
Yeah.
That honestly could hit.
I'm coming in with I'm going to stick with the theme of the money lines for the year. I'm taking the Washington Commanders money line. I will also be taking the Kansas City Chiefs money line. Now, you're going to have to get this ticket in relatively quickly after hearing this episode because one of my games is on Tuesday. It is the Carolina Hurricanes money line against the Dallas Stars. We're taking the Carolina Hurricanes money line. That is NHL hockey. We're taking the Kansas City Chiefs money line, and we are taking the Washington Commanders money line plus 1059. I picked 2 underdogs. I picked 2 Vegas underdogs, but the Hurricanes are demons. Lock them in. And really, the Washington Philly pick, I really, really, really fucking hate the Eagles. And I would love nothing more than for them to get fucking clipped on Sunday. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And
you hate them more than the Commanders?
110%, because majority of my life, the Commanders have been ass. And they really haven't ever bothered me because they have been a bottom feeder organization under Daniel Snyder, and they had Rex Grossman, and they had 1 or 2 good years under RG3, but other than that, it's kind of been a fucking shit show in Washington. Not too worried about them, never have been, even though they do have 4 Super Bowls, I believe. I think they have 4. I believe they have 4 in their franchise history.
I don't believe that. That's right.
They have 4 or 3.
Let's go see so we can speak in fact. Maybe I just don't know ball.
I'm pretty sure they have 4 or 3.
They have 3, yeah.
Yeah. So.
All before the Panthers were established. They don't count.
Okay.
Cool.
Anyway.
Just like y'all.
So the Commanders have like 3, and I know, Cowboys and Indians, supposed to hate them. But Philly just
I don't know if you can say that.
holds a well,
I don't know if you can say that.
Philly just holds a special place in my heart. I despise all things Philly. Meek Mills is. So yeah, we're going with the Commanders, man. We're going for the Washington.
Hey,
Get him off. Get him off.
As y'all can see, the more and more we allow him to talk, the more and more risky it becomes. That's why he has very limited words.
Fuck him. And if you're a Philly fan listening, fuck you.
Get him off. Get him off. Get him off. Get him off.
Let's see.
Shout out to Kenny.
Yeah, I was about to say that felt extremely personal, and I think it was towards Kenny, one of our good friends.
And Trevor.
That's a Panthers fan or Eagles fan, excuse me. And to be quite frank, y'all should have been clipped this Sunday.
Yeah, honestly.
And I don't want y'all to be comfortable. I think JD5 might walk in y'all's trap, and I really don't need to explain more. I also just want to remind the viewers. That I may have been the first person in the world to be on the Washington Commanders hype train, literally. I came in here probably during the summer and said that they would win the NFC East.
Which they did not.
Which they didn't. Go slow, nigga.
Go slow.
They didn't. Which they didn't. But they still won 12 games, which is I rammed their over on plus 10 wins. And I also think that I came in here and said that they would win 1 or 2 playoff games, and they've done both of those things. So I just wanted to take this moment because
we have to check the playoff games. we got to check that because I don't know if
you don't know if
I don't know if you said
I just
that.
made that
No,
part up?
I know you did say that they would be a good team, but I don't know if you said anything about.
I don't know if I said the playoff team.
Yeah.
I just wanted to lie.
Yeah.
But that was my first one of the day since we've been together. But yeah, I was kind of I was not even kind of. I was definitely what? Why did y'all start making noise?
You had to think about it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, was I right? Yes, I was.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
It's
have to
probably
recall
something.
Before,
It's
I
probably,
can't really
I
remember
think
too
we
much
all
before
have
the
one
shots.
so far.
What the
What
fuck
was
was
mine?
mine?
That was my second one. That was my second one. My apologies.
Also, this narrative of the lies and shit really, truthfully, only came from 2K. Because I used to be capped out. If a nigga said he beat me, I just have a short-term memory.
No.
I just have a short-term
it was from
memory.
way more than 2K.
It
Let's
was
just
really
leave
from
it.
2K
Let's
and
just
Madden.
leave the topic. That's just not
2K
true.
and Madden. And maybe a few. Never mind.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, save yourself.
But not to y'all. That's with third parties. That's
Okay,
with third
let's
parties.
move on. Because it seems like you're adding to the list right now. Let's see. I know I said 85 minutes, and I think we're approaching 85 minutes. But I believe that we have a little bit more for y'all. Since this is the season finale, we're at 90 minutes right now. I think we have a little more juice. I know that y'all are probably tired. I am too. More tired than y'all because y'all didn't work today, actually. So
I had to drive all day.
did they recover that?
Yeah, they did, but I feel like he was down.
What's the score?
31-15.
But if Notre Dame just recovered that, then they have the ball.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Beginning of the fourth.
Yeah. They have life. They have life.
They definitely
That's all
have
we
life.
need.
Let's see. Let's go here. And this is going to be a very, very difficult.
Ooh.
It was out.
Yeah, it was out.
It was out.
Yeah, he's clipped.
Down 16 with about 14 and a half to go.
Oh, yeah, it was out. Unless they try to whore him.
Yeah, there's no way they can do that with this many angles. And it's clearly out. This is going to be a very, very difficult topic for us to push through and try and do it with some speed, but let's just try our best. We touched on last week, we hinted at last week about this particular topic in conversation because obviously it's one that has, echoed throughout the fan base in, regards to getting Bryce Young more help and some of the names obviously that have come up. Now, what I'm going to do for the sake of time and for the sake of the conversation, I'm taking Tyreek Hill's name out of it. I think he's going to stay in Miami. I think there are too many factors that will play against the Carolina Panthers obtaining him. I don't know if I'm even willing to pay the price tag that it would cost for Tyreek, and I believe that y'all feel the same way. We touched on it a little bit last week again. Wanted to come back, revisit it, have a bit more in-depth conversation. The name that we're going to add instead is a name that I've seen pop up a couple of times, and that's DK Metcalf. So, if you had to pick the one weapon out of the three to bring to Carolina to help this wide receiver room as well as Bryce Young, who are you taking and why? You have 2.5 to 3 minutes on why, if you need it. I'm going to go to you first.
Well, I think based off of last week, y'all made me reconsider, and if it's going to be between Garrett Wilson and DK, then I'm going to remove T. Higgins. And
go slow. If it's going to say it again, because I didn't hear you.
Because the names were Tyreek,
Yes.
Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins. You say you're taking Tyreek off for obvious reasons, costs too much money, and he's a little older.
Mm-hmm.
Then if it's just going to be between Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, and DK, then I'm going to remove T. Higgins.
And say that you want him to come, or you're saying that you're picking between those two?
I think I'm picking between Garrett Wilson and DK.
Okay. Do you
And
care to give any perspective?
yeah, and I really love DK. I think he's a big play guy. I think that he has all the physicalities that you would want in a receiver. But I think I would just like the Bryce and Garrett Wilson connection a little bit more. And I think, like Tavian said last week, I think Garrett Wilson has been one of the guys that has been champion for Bryce since he's been in the league. I think he's one of the people that has stood beside him through all of his woes. And I just think he hasn't gotten a fair shake in New York, and I think that he is a really talented receiver. And then I just feel like he fits like the Carolina mold a little bit more. And not to say that DK doesn't. I just feel like I really see Garrett Wilson meshing in the Carolina uniform a little bit more, and him and Bryce having a better connection, just not really based on anything that I've seen between those two, but just like the type of receiver that Garrett Wilson is. So I'm just going to go Garrett Wilson. I don't really have any much more than that.
Okay.
I would just like to see him in the Carolina Panthers uniform. And I think that he will be one of the guys that will actually want to be here.
Yes.
Like, I don't
That's
know.
the biggest piece.
Yeah, I don't know if DK would necessarily be like Carolina would be my first option.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I just feel like Garrett Wilson would be like, yeah, I would want to be in Carolina and play with Bryce Young.
Sure. I like that piece of it for sure. I'm gonna go, Tavian, and then I'll come to you. Okay.
Go for it.
I pulled up the guys that I would consider. So first thing that I'm gonna say is the reason why I'm taking T. Higgins out, very similar to you, is simply based on the fact that I think his price tag is gonna be extremely astronomical. That's the first reason. I think that it's gonna be up there, and my track record with saying this isn't the best because the guy that I most recently said something very similar to this or about this was Deontay Johnson. So my track record is not the best. However, I think this guy has a little more tact for backing this up, and I'm going to say I think his contract is going to be up there with Jetta's, with CeeDee Lamb. Now, do I think that he's going to get their money? No, but I think it's very, very realistic to believe and to see him potentially getting $1.5 million to $2 million less. But that's a large, large sum of money for a wide receiver and an offense that you already invested a significant amount in if you're just looking at the price tag as well as the draft capital. And I don't want to give up on XL that fast, and I think that we can just get something a little more organization-friendly. So that's the first piece. I'm taking T. Higgins out because of the price tag, as well as the fact that I believe that T. Higgins has an injury problem. I really do. And with XL seeming to have an injury problem with the problems that he had at South Carolina, as well as the problems that he had in training camp, as well as the nicks and dings that he got throughout this season, as well as needing the wrist surgery, etc. That's just not a guy that I'm willing to take that big of a risk on investment-wise for it to play out like he actually does have an injury problem, and it's a larger problem than we believed it to be before he came. So T. Higgins completely out of the window. Now Garrett Wilson and DK Metcalf. They're two totally different wide receivers. Both are phenomenal in their own right. I'm gonna say, for me personally, I'm gonna say DK Metcalf. However, my co-host here makes a very compelling argument because when you look at the desire to want to be in a place, that's something that we've talked about a significant amount on for Panthers fans only. Not only in season 4, but all throughout all of the seasons that we've been together, is the desire to want to be in a place. And that is something that the Carolina Panthers haven't had a lot of over the past decade or so. Maybe I'll say 7 or 8 years. 7 or 8 years, you've been very, very hard-pressed to find guys that absolutely want to be in Carolina, specifically free agents. So, yes, you would have to make a deal for DK Metcalf. You would. Yes, I believe Garrett Wilson probably would want to play here more than DK Metcalf. However, if you can convince him to come play with Bryce Young, I think he's a better option. Now, let me go see his contract really quick. He has 1 year remaining on his deal, and then he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So that is the downside of it. If you were to trade for DK Metcalf, and I think the same is true for both of these guys, if you trade for either one of them, a deal needs to be in place. A deal needs to be in place so it's not a Deontay Johnson 2.0, and it's not a Hassan Reddick 2.0, and the list goes on and on. But if you are to trade for one of these two guys, a deal needs to be in place before they enter the building. That's what I'll say first. The reason why I like DK over Garrett Wilson is simply based on physicality. And I like the fact that he's a crash out. Now, is that a problem that I have internally? Probably. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all. It probably is. But just that alone, I love. Garrett Wilson, he's grown very, very aggravated with the situation in the Jets, and that's not something that I hold against him, to be transparent, because like Tavian mentioned last week, why wouldn't you? It's a dog shit situation, the dog shit quarterback, no direction at head coach, et cetera, the list goes on, and he wasn't touching the football, and in my opinion, he's a top 12 to 13 wide receiver in the NFL, hands down. So all of that being said, I personally am going to take DK Metcalf. However, if we're talking about desire, if we're talking about a guy, like you said, that has had Bryce Young's back through ups and downs, thick and thin, who really would be a phenomenal addition for Bryce Young's confidence and ego, then Garrett Wilson is your answer. For me personally, just a specimen that DK Metcalf is, I like it, but I can also receive an argument and that would potentially say you don't want to have too many of the same wide receivers, right? And so that's kind of where, I would assume some pushback would come from, with the fact that XL is very, very big, pause. He's fast. Same thing with DK Metcalf. Same thing with Jalen Coker. Now, Jalen Coker isn't as fast as the other two parties. However, very, very similar build. And DK Metcalf also isn't really a guy that's going to absolutely blow the top off the defense like Garrett Wilson is. But I don't know. I like bigger physical receivers. And like I said, I like the attitude that DK Metcalf brings. So for those reasons, give me DK.
And just before you go, Tavian, really quick, and then I think like Garrett Wilson is younger. DK is 27. Garrett Wilson is 24.
Yep.
Wow, Notre Dame just missed a field goal.
Blocked?
Nah, just doink. And then I also think that when you look at the standpoint that DK has played with like more established quarterbacks as far as Russell Wilson and Geno Smith, I just don't know how much patience he would have like with Bryce Young, like, because there's still some development that needs to be had there. But I don't think things are going to be sugar as soon as he gets there. And, DK probably wants to be in a situation to where he can compete. And I don't know if we'll be that type of team next year or even the year after. But I think that a couple of years after that, we could be in that conversation. And I think that that'll be something that Garrett Wilson is willing to, wait for and develop in.
Cool. I'm not mad at that explanation.
Yeah, personally, if I'm going to take T. Higgins out, I know he was in my free agent segment, but fuck y'all, this is my segment. I can do what I want. I'm taking T. Higgins out of it. I'm taking
What
T.
is his
Higgins out of
problem,
it.
bro? The tequila should be gone now at this point. Go ahead.
That's just, me talking shit to the viewers. But no.
Wow.
But
I'm
no,
sorry, guys.
T. Higgins is out of it for me, solely because I do think he is going to command a lot of money on that open market, and I would rather you see that be invested on the defensive side of the ball. As JJ stated at the start of the segment, Tyreek Hill is already out of it, so it does boil down to Garrett Wilson and DK Metcalf, and like you alluded to prior to this, I'm going to give the pushback that you don't want too many of the same type of receivers.
Sure.
DK is 6'4", just like Xavier Legette, very similar builds. They're both muscular guys who are pretty quick. I just think you already have that in an Xavier Legette. DK Metcalf is who you want Xavier Legette to become, and it's still too early in Xavier Legette's career to just write him off as to, like, he won't ever be able to reach that level. And then with Garrett Wilson, with a guy like Adam Thielen on your team who is contemplating retirement, Adam Thielen has, even last year, been Bryce Young's favorite target and his most effective weapon. And Garrett Wilson on that list is the one that plays the most similar style of football to Adam Thielen. And I think Bryce likes that. That's why you went after a Deontay Johnson. Now, Deontay Johnson didn't work, not because of his physical abilities on the field. Deontay Johnson is a dog as far as the actual measurable, tangible skills of a wide receiver. He just is fucked in the head, like every other Pittsburgh wide receiver. So but what you have in Garrett Wilson is a very similar skill set, and somebody who is very quarterback friendly, creates a lot of open space and windows. And if you give him a solid quarterback, I think you could see that blossom. And then you would have a relationship. He does seem like the type of wide receiver that you would want in a locker room, because he has dealt with so much shit up to this point in his career. And for the most part, being a young man of his stature and of his draft status, has handled it very well up until the point where Aaron Rodgers came in, and we've seen Aaron Rodgers fuck off countless situations at this point. So I really don't even want to put that on his jacket as far as his poor attitude at the end of his stint in New York, because, again, New York is a fuck situation. So I'm going Garrett Wilson. I like Garrett Wilson. I think he has the most upside. He's the youngest on the list, and he's a dog.
Cool. Not mad at that. That being said, I'm not mad at, honestly, any of them that potentially, are brought into the situation by any stretch of the imagination. But that's just me. I'm sure y'all feel very similar. But yeah.
Notre Dame really missed the field goal.
Yeah.
So they're
And
probably.
he looks like he's just ready to jump off of the page. Quite literally.
What's the kicker's name?
I don't
Owen
even know.
Deffer?
Nah,
He plays for A&T now. That tells you anything. Shout out A&T.
Appreciate y'all tuning in for this season, man. It's been an absolutely phenomenal ride. Over 1,000 subs, I believe, in this season alone. Multiple appearances on a lot of different Carolina Panther content creator spaces. So we appreciate y'all for reaching out and showing love as well. Really just humble, grateful, and excited for where we're going to the next level. A lot of huge things going on this offseason. Like I said earlier, we probably will be returning in about a month or a month and a half, but going to give ourselves some time to recover and gear up for next season, because the train doesn't stop. Obviously, like, comment, and subscribe, because I will still be dropping content on the G2 West network. We will still be, releasing some of our favorite plays from the season, things of that nature. Doing a couple of reaction videos here and there. A lot of original content still coming, even with the end of the season finally here. But again, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure to tap in with us on social media as well, so you can stay in tune with everything that we have going on. Giveaways, websites, whatever the case may be. Just tap in and turn the bell notification on everywhere, and that's going to be your best option to stay in touch with what we have going on. Appreciate everybody that has tuned in. Shout out to QJ for tapping in with us. Shout out Candyman. Shout out my man's Luke. Shout out my man's what's bro? Shout out Omar. Shout out all y'all, man.
Bloody.
Yeah, shout out Bloody. Shout out everybody that's tuned in, man. Shout out Tavia's Burner. We still don't know who that is, but we have an idea.
I was about to say,
I have
a sneaky suspicion.
Yeah,
and I feel like he can figure it out, but he doesn't want to.
No, I think he already has confirmation, and he's just not.
Nah, I've asked. I just adamant that it's not.
So you just have a fan that could potentially be a woman that tracks your internet presence.
That shit is addicting.
On that note,
he's been on one all night.
Yeah, he has. He has for sure. We'll talk to y'all very soon.
I'm in trouble, man. I always in trouble, man.